Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flaws, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Earlier today, we spoke to the partner of the two children's mother. Here's some of what he had to say about Jack and Lily.
Awesome kids, very, very kind. They'll talk to anyone. They want to go with anyone. They're just looking to have as much fun as they can. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, anything like that. But Lily loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister.
He says he's also hoping police monitor the New Brunswick border and the airports for any sign of the two children. But RCMP tell us this afternoon they're not considering any possible abduction here. As far as they're concerned, they're looking for two young children who simply wandered away.
I know that there's a lot of people pulling for these kids to come home. Y'all, we have breaking news information related to these text messages in the Lilly and Jack Sullivan case. As the silence becomes deafening, we do have some perspective. Lilly and Jack Sullivan allegedly disappeared on May 2nd by their mother, who reported them around 10 a.m., allegedly. Their mother, Malehya, reported them missing, stating that they exited out this sliding glass door, and after exiting through the sliding glass door, decided to play in their backyard. Further stating that when they exited the backyard, they must have wandered off into the woods and got lost. However, Malehya, their mother, believes somebody had abducted the children and was calling for an Amber Alert, but the RCMP stated there was no proof or evidence that these children were abducted, and they made that statement very early on in the case. The RCMP put together one of the largest searches for Lilly and Jack Sullivan and produced no results. But when they went missing, Malehya was explaining a lot through text messages and Messenger. One of those message threads were from Lilly and Jack's biological grandmother. Belinda, Cody's mother, reached out to Malehya to find out what happened to the children. And Malehya, from the very beginning, was driving this narrative that they were abducted. Belinda is Cody's mother, and Cody is the biological father to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. And she released some of the text messages she initially had the very first day she found out Lilly and Jack were missing. I found some of the statements between them very alarming and very manipulative. She was on one hand trying to say the kids got out of the house. On the other hand, she was trying to say that they were abducted. There's no telling what Malehya was conveying to the family that morning that she says the children disappeared. But I am really looking at Daniel and Malehya's behavior, and both of their behaviors are screaming some type of foul play to me. I don't believe them, and I don't trust them. And I'm starting to believe Daniel just a little bit more. But then I start hearing from people that I value their opinion. I start reviewing people like the deception detective, which I value the opinion of this deception detective quite highly. If you don't know who he is, he's an attorney trained in statement analysis. He has never liked the statements from Daniel nor Malehya and what he equates to deception. And the deception detective on the latest statement from Daniel Martell, he's saying this is next to blackmail, emotional blackmail. He's trying to say that the mother is failing to show up or even speak out for her children, and us, the public, needs to quit being mean to her and attacking her. I don't think discussing this case and the public's opinion of Malehya is going to change because Daniel says so. Where are Lilly and Jack? And what does Daniel and Malehya truly know about their disappearance? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channels, and let me know your thoughts about this. This case is driving me bonkers. This is the absolute loudest podcast on YouTube this time of morning. I absolutely guarantee it. I almost want to take a poll. I want the award for being the loudest content creator. Mom, you did proud. I'm gonna be coined the loudest content creator in history. Yeah, right. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Eeyore Blue, first one to kick it off. It's nice to see you. Bookworm up in the house. Me and you, Donna, Phil, EMT. It's nice to see you. Crystal Pistol. My mouse is going all over the place, so give me a moment while I get back. Lisa B. Always. Shauna, Karen, it's nice to see you. Hope. Stivers, Kay Stivers, it's nice to see you. Kathleen, Linda, good morning. Christy, it's nice to see you. Mickey Shell, it's nice to see you as always. Aletha up in the house, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Linda, I think I said hi, but not sure. Trust the process. We're trying. We're holding on for dear life. Melanie, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Melanie. Many prayers to the people who lost their homes and loved ones in the flood. Amen to that. Amen to that. I'm glad that the conversations are getting a little bit softer and people are being a lot kinder, especially online. But there at the very beginning, I was questioning whether, humanity existed, y'all. I mean, some of the stuff I was hearing was just horrible. Birthday girl herself up in the house. Tina, good morning. Did I say hi to you, Mary? Hopefully I didn't miss you. It's nice to see you. Blue Eyes, good morning. YouTuber, it's nice to see you. Lisa B. Always. Prayers for all in need of miracles. Christ is King. Amen to that. Good morning. Good morning. Betty Van. 37 months. 37 months. Good gracious. Thank you for the love and the support and working your tail off in the chat. I'm glad the chat's so much nicer than it once was. My poor mods, I had to check on their fingers. I didn't know which ones needed to go to the hospital. It was bad. It was bad. SJ, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Who else do we have up in the house? Who else do we have? We got the real me too. Good morning, love. I hope I'm so fluffy. I love it. Good morning. Good morning to you. We're all a little fluffy. We're all a little fluffy and a little gooey. Joni, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Little Orange Man, Reba, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. So as you, Don, good morning. It's nice to see you. So as you guys come on in, it's going to be great. Guys, we're up and running. I got to tell you, I don't know what's going on with FiOS, Frontier FiOS. I usually hate true crime justice. It's nice to see you. Shirley, good morning. Usually I don't have to call them, which is always a plus, right? When you don't have to call your internet service provider, the only time I've had to call them so far is when my county or somebody working for my county has severed my line outside, which this happens to be the second time. The first time was after the hurricanes, when they were coming around and picking up all the debris. Well, I had all that fencing out there. Well, I couldn't figure out what happened. I couldn't even see where it tore, but there was a piece of fiber optic out of the line. So I think they grabbed it. They just didn't realize they tore it, but it tore underground. I digress. Either way, they come out here. And that first time, it took them like a couple of weeks, maybe even close to a month to come here. Now, it's not Verizon, me and you. I've got Verizon cell service, but it's not Verizon. It's Frontier. It's Frontier FiOS. They used to be Verizon, but they sold that sector of their company to Frontier. So, long story short, I was pleasantly surprised. I had a knock at the door. The guy was here to bury the wire. I told him, look, I'm doing some work out front. This is right in the flower pot. I had to pull it out because it was just laying on the top of the flower
the flower bed. I said, I'm doing a flower bed all the way down. And, I need that under the ground a little bit deeper. He said, okay, gotcha. So what, bada bing, bada boom. I didn't have to wait for 2 weeks to mow my front yard. So as soon as he wrapped up, guess what Bullhorn Betty did? Yes. I got on my lawnmower and I got the rest of the yard mowed. Now, one thing I don't have is I do have. I've got 2 lawnmowers, push lawnmowers around here, but I don't push I don't push lawnmowers. So we've got the weed eater, and I got to get that little new head put on it. So as you guys know, procrastination. I am a procrastinating person. Okay. So that has gone by the wayside, but the flower bed still needed to be brought up. I'm not going to go out there with the freaking weed whacker and get the weeds in the flower bed. I went out there with the shovel and a hoe. And so after a heaving and a hoeing out there for about 20 or 30, maybe 45 minutes, we're finally starting to see a flower bed emerge. So we'll see. Look at that beautiful face. Look at that. Is that my baby Delilah? She's so much bigger now. She was such a little poopy. She was so young. She still is so young. Good gracious. That little butt munch brings so much joy to my world. If you are lacking something and you're all alone and you're terrified of taking care of another animal, then just take care of another animal. I'm telling you, I don't know what I would do without her. I really don't. She's my gal pal. She truly is my gal pal. And, it doesn't hurt when you can buy her cute little things like this. But I'm fortunate enough that I got a pretty good friend, and Sonia sends me cute stuff like this, So this is just absolutely, I'm sorry, this is just too damn cute, okay? I don't know who you are. If you don't think this is cute, there's just something wrong with you. I'm just saying. If you didn't know, now you do, because that is too stinking cute. So we've been hearing about Janie's comments and all this other stuff, going on. And I've been I just don't do well in Canada. I don't do well in Canada cases. I'm a fish out of water. I really don't know. I'm trying to learn, but I don't always know where to go to get the best resources. Like for us here, we know, right? We know we go to Fox News, News Nation, WFLA, like we know where to go in the United States if we've got a case, right? Do we not? Raise your hand. Of course we do. But when we're covering a case from a different country, well, I'm sorry. I don't know how often you watch Canadian news. I certainly do not, okay? This is the first for me, okay? So I have no idea who their, Fox or News Nation or WFLA is over there, okay? So I have to rely on my audience to send me some stuff. I'll be honest with you. I'm very ignorant when it comes to Canada. I'm very ignorant with anything with Canada, okay? I don't even have a passport. I don't want a passport. I have no reason to leave. I love the United States of America, okay? I wish I had a button that played our, national anthem. I don't have any reason to go exploration outside of the United States, okay? Bullhorn Betty has this thing called a pop mouth, okay? I don't want to do times in the Mexican jail, okay? Because if somebody pisses me off, I'm going to tell them where they can go. Oh, sorry. When somebody hit me off, then I know, I'm going to tell them where I don't care what country I'm in, okay? I know who I am. I own it. I know I do not belong in any other country than the good old US of A, okay? That is all I can say about that. Okay? When you know, okay? I'm just saying. But we've been hearing about this whole thing. Oh, yes, that reminds me. Panda Bear's mom, we were giving a keychain away yesterday. And the recipient of that keychain is yours truly, Panda Bear's mom. She has good karma. out there in the universe. So if you haven't already, get with Sonia so you can get your prize from yesterday. Today, if we meet our goal, is going to be a Bullhorn Betty Koozie Cup. A Bullhorn Betty Koozie Cup. So if that's something you'd like, I actually, it wasn't until this morning I started drinking out of Delilah's cup, you know. And I realized this would be a really nice treat. How many of you guys would like a coffee cup giveaway? I mean, we are the coffee club, and it seems so foolish of me not to think of coffee in a time like this. But the first thing I think of is a blessed keychain and a koozie cup. And hardly anybody here drinks. Okay, I mean, I like the koozie cup because you guys see how much soda I drink. But I think a coffee cup might be more in line. Maybe we'll give that. Maybe we'll give that away next week. Maybe this will be the prize for next week. A beautiful Delilah. A beautiful little Delilah. Oh, look at that little baby face. I miss that baby face. Okay, I gotta stop. We got real business to take care of here because we've got 2 children that are still missing in Canada, in Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm sure that they have a lot more children than just Lily and Jack, but they're the ones that got our attention. Okay, it is very unusual, and I think that's what's drawing us into this case is because it. Oh, thank you, Caddy. Thank you. God bless you. What I think is drawing us into this case is because it is so incredibly unusual for 2 children to disappear at the same time. Do you guys remember the last 2 children that disappeared, that were reported missing at the same time that we covered? And we didn't even dive that deep in it because, you know, Mr. We're Too Crazy for YouTube was covering the case, and our detective or NY officer, I don't know what his actual, you know, it's so whatever. But anyways, so I really didn't cover it too much, you know. I was it wasn't that I was new here. I was kind of new here, but I was already, you know, getting so much heat from other stuff, and I was just dealing with just the cases I was dealing with at the time. So we were covering the West case, if you guys had figured it out. Yes, it was the West case. It was classic and sincere. What was their classic and sincere, but it was good gracious, I can't remember their first names, but it was the West. Their adoptive parents ended up going to jail, and I remember their names very well, Trezell and Jacqueline West. So I'll think of their names, but you guys know Orrin and Orson West. There it is, Orrin and Orson West. I knew it would pop in. My filing cabinet needs a little bit of WD-40. It's opening a little, you know, slow this morning. So we'll get it greased up. By the time we're done, we'll be you know, moving like we're supposed to. So that's really our own experience. It's very highly uncommon for 2 children to disappear together. And we ended up finding with Olson and Orson West, Orrin and Orson West, that they didn't disappear at the same time. If you guys look at the way that everything was presented at their trial, one of the children lost their life, I think, weeks, maybe even a month before the other one. I can't remember the fine details, guys. Please forgive me. It's been a while. They've been arrested for a while. I think they picked up in like 2022 or 2023 or something like that. And they're whatever. Long story short, they went through jail. I know it was after 2019 because everybody was masked. They were able to go out there and give, you know, he was kind of sitting like this with his mask over his face. Yeah, we kind of understand what people are looking at us, but we ain't got nothing to do with it. Whatever. But we found out through trial that those 2 children didn't even actually truly disappear together. So this is truly a rare situation that does defy logic because we've got 2 siblings that disappeared at the same time. You would maybe think that they could have wandered into the woods, been attacked or mauled by an animal, maybe bitten by a snake, maybe injured somehow and couldn't hear, maybe, incapacitated. And even though they were screaming for him, couldn't hear him. Okay. Well, we understand situations and scenarios like that. And so does any law enforcement body, okay? And that's why they go ahead and do these search. They don't automatically say, oh my God, we got a child missing. The parents did it. Haul their asses in. No, of course not. Why? Because children disappear all the time for a variety of reasons. It's not an uncommon practice to have a missing child or to call him a child and missing. A lot of parents, out of a precautionary measure, when they can't get a hold of their children, it's just natural to call law enforcement, get them en route. And then when we find the child, we call them and say, look, our child came home. We found him. No need to get out here. That's in many cases. So we're constantly having missing children, runaway children. We have children with medical disabilities that will elope. We've learned a lot about elopement, covering the Sebastian Wayne-Drake Rogers case, even though he's not an eloper, but we went down and learned more about this elopement. So we're dealing with a situation where they're trying to self-prescribe these children as autistic. And I think that there is mythology to that. If they attach the autism to these children, the idea of them wandering off or maybe even winding up in a pond deceased is not too far-fetched, you see? So I think there was mythology behind them self-prescribing these children as autistic, as well as, what was the other thing? What was the other thing that I thought was... Delilah, I promise you nobody's coming in the door. You're okay. That air better watch out. Delilah's waiting for the next move. Like literally, what are you yelling? She felt something move in the air. No, I'm just joking. But we had the whole thing with the oh, yeah, I remember the other one. It was the borders, the abduction theory. So I really thought that there was mythology behind, they were methodically strategic in self-prescribing these children as autistic. If you thought that children were autistic, they're old enough to be tested, no? And Canada, don't they have free insurance there or something close to that? Canadians, you're going to have to... let me know, because I don't know. I live in the United States, and I'm pretty sure you guys know how much of a problem our health insurance is. And yes, we do not have government sponsored, and we have to pay a ton out of pocket. So I'm almost confident that I'm not completely, dense in the skull. I'm pretty sure that they do have some type of government type of health insurance. So my question would be is, why would she have to self-prescribe those children if there's medical places she could go, get them therapy and everything else? Why wouldn't she do that? That in and of itself tells me how neglectful she is, or that there was strategy in certain things that they stated and made public early on in the case. Well, we're finally getting a kind of a bird's eye view as to what happened. And I think this is interesting because we've been hearing a lot of the audio, right? We've been hearing a lot of audio of Daniel's mother, Janie Mackenzie. And I was wrong I thought Logan and Mackenzie. It's Logan Mackenzie. So now I got the name, and they're not two separate people. It's just one person. I learned, I don't assume anything. I don't assume anything until I learn. So this is the first time I realized that Janie's name is Janie Mackenzie, which, as many of you know, Logan Mackenzie is Daniel's cousin and has come up to bat for him. And you can tell that she feels really uncomfortable, but she doesn't know what's going on. Now, I've already watched this video. Sometimes I'll withhold watching a video until we have an opportunity to view it together, so we get authentic expressions and stuff like that. Oh, who is this? Good morning. Good morning, Robin. I hope you are doing well. Very happy, Michelle. It's nice to see you as well. Good morning. I think Malehya knows where Lilly and Jack is. Yeah, but you know what? I was thinking because I was watching Justin for All, and there is something that he said last night that resonated with me, and we're going to get to. As a matter of fact, let me write this down so I don't forget. Oh, come on with the damn pens. We need new pens. I'm going to put new pens. I'll end up buying them, but I'll put pens on our gift thingy. What is it? Oh, yeah. I don't want to forget to talk about that, guys. If I don't want to forget to talk about that topic that I heard from Justin that made me think of something. I just remembered it. I want to discuss it. Okay, so for everybody that's just coming in, we're about to look at the property. Okay, not only are we going to look at the property, we are going to look at what Janie has to say. Okay, we're going to put it up on the big screen. We are going to play this for you, and you guys get to see the property and hear what was said. And now, after we're going to play it, it's about 8 minutes or so, then we're going to have a discussion. I'm going to try not to interrupt. You guys know it's hit and miss with me, but I'm going to try not to interrupt this interview so you guys can hear it in its entirety. Okay? But again, I'm not going to promise you that. I'm just saying. Just saying. This was interesting, though. This was interesting. But I don't know how I quite feel about it. And again, we're going to go over the information here shortly. So just let's watch it in its entirety.
So this is the patio.
This is the patio door
that Jack and Lilly would have.
that Jack and Lilly came out of.
So it's the morning of May 2nd. Take me through what happened.
Okay, I was up at 6 o'clock, sat in there and had my tea. And then on Facebook, 7 o'clock, I get up, come over here, fed my chickens. My brother, Ron, called me at 8:48 and asked me if I wanted to go to town with him. And I said, no. I said, I'm staying home. I said, I'm going back to bed. Okay, I went and I laid down. Next thing you know, my dog started barking and the kids were out in the yard. Now, you can see there's 2 swings where the kids play. My bedroom is right there. I heard the kids. This is where the kids' swings are. This is where they always played.
And so that's where
I heard them. And I can hear everything in that trailer. If 2 kids get out of a fence, and Jack and Lilly are all the time yelling, especially Lilly, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. It's all I hear out here. When the kids get out of the fence and come out through here, I would have heard them yelling, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie, let's go. I didn't hear anything. The next thing I heard is I heard Daniel yelling. He was yelling for Jack and Lilly. I didn't get up because I thought he was yelling for Jack and Lilly in the house. So the next thing you know, I came out of the trailer after I heard Daniel, about, I'd say, 10 minutes after I heard him, I come out of the trailer. I opened up the door, was standing here. Malehya was standing right here with Meadow on her hip. And I come out and I said, what's up? She said, Jack and Lilly are missing. I said, how long? She said, about 20 minutes.
I'm sorry. You guys knew I was going to do it. Hey, you know what? We did pretty good. I got through 2 minutes and 41 seconds without stopping. But here I'm going to stop because I want you guys to pay attention. She never said that Malehya had concern. It seemed like a very matter-of-fact conversation, and that is what's concerning for me.
I closed the door, got my boots on, came out here, ran up in the woods. Just right up here. The kids have a little fort that they made out of sticks and fir branches, and that's where they go. You can see them and hear them. We went for walks in the woods. I had to practically carry Jack through the woods because there was no way that he was walking through all that tree falls and bushes. I did this whole area. There's an old road up back. When I got up to the top of the hill, I met Daniel. And I said to him, I said, did you find them? He said, no. He said, you coming with me? I said, no. I said, I'm going to search this area. Because when she told me the kids were missing, you automatically think they went into the woods. That was my first instinct. So I went up and I did this whole area, this whole wooded area, right up to the top of the dirt road, came back down here and came back down the side of the road, came back down here and came back up the same spot. I went back into the house. By the time the cops were here, I don't know exactly what time, I didn't take my phone. The cops were here. There was a bench sitting here, or a sawhorse, it's over there, was sitting here. I was sitting on it, bawling my eyes out. I was crying because I blame myself for not getting up that morning to see the kids. Because if I would have got up, this wouldn't have never happened. Okay? That's why I was crying.
We've heard a lot about the patio door.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go see that.
Sure.
So this is the patio door.
This is the patio door.
That Jack and Lily would have.
That Jack and Lily came out of.
And so tell us why we've heard about the patio door.
Because everybody's saying on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok that the patio door makes a noise, and why they didn't hear the door open. The bedroom is back there. Okay.
That far window.
The last window is the bedroom.
And so they would have come out this door.
They would have come out this
that
door
morning.
Yes.
And then they went and played on the swing set.
Yes.
And that's when you heard them.
That's when I heard them. Right here in this area here. I plan on putting a pool up this year for the kids. You need level ground for a pool. That's what I was doing. I was leveling out the ground to set up the pool.
And this is the Thursday.
This is Thursday.
Right.
Friday, all the investigators, search and rescue and everything. Right around here was where they found the only footprint.
This is where the boot.
This is where I was raking that night. That's where the boot print was found. In the mud where I was raking.
I thought there was two boot prints.
There was supposed to be a footprint found away up on the pipeline.
Right.
Malehya sent me the picture of it. That's all I know. There was a footprint found.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm telling you, the footprint was here. The only one that they can confirm that was Lilly and Jack's was right here.
So it was child size.
Yes. A man, one of the investigators came in here and was measuring it all. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to lie. The reason why I wanted you guys to come here and do the interview here is to show you exactly where everything took place. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just show people that this is what happened. All the stuff that people, all the rumors and accusations about us murdering the kids and burying them on the property, this place has been searched thoroughly. The well has been checked, the septic tank, all the barns were searched. My RV was searched 3 times. The trailer was searched. This whole place was searched. If they want to come back and search again, they're more than welcome.
You've talked about drones flying over your property. You've talked about cars driving down the road and slowing down. What's that been like?
I'm scared to go out sometimes in my own property. I mostly stay around back here. And if I do go out front for anything, I usually have my head down because I don't want people to see who I am. That is me myself. It's not because I'm hiding from anybody. I don't like to be on camera. I don't like my picture taken. I'm just a quiet person that just wants to be left alone, and I mind my own business. I'm just a hermit.
Do you feel as if the finger has been pointed towards you and Daniel?
Yes, I do. Because I live on the property. Come on.
Do you think your son had anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily?
No, I don't believe Daniel had anything to do with the disappearance of Jack and Lily. Our heart don't lie, and my heart is telling me that my kid did not have nothing to do with this, and I had nothing to do with this. You know, if something bad happens, you get like your heart drops. Mine hasn't dropped. Deep down in my heart, I do believe Jack and Lily are alive. It's not because of what people are saying. It's my heart tells me that they are alive.
So there is Janie Mackenzie.
So
this is Daniel Martell's mother. The other adult, one of the 4 adults at this property. Now, as many of us suspect, the sliding glass door is not without any noise. We heard that clicking at the very end of it. Would that have been, enough to travel all the way down the trailer to a couple people that are in probably a room with a closed door and a TV on? You know, that's debatable. It is debatable. So now that we've heard the sliding glass door, we've heard the perspective of Janie Mackenzie, Daniel's mother, and there were a few takeaways that I notated. One obvious is the obvious. How in the world is only one boot print if it was raining out in a freshly raked area? How does only one boot print show up without an impression or a light impression at minimum of the second one? That is the first problem. The other problem I have is that Daniel was in both places where both boot prints were found. As you heard from some of the audio that was released, I think by either it's a shaming crime or Clutch the Pearls. She picked up Daniel from near the pipeline. And that is very concerning because we know a mysterious boot also showed up at the pipeline. Now, first statements from Daniel is that Lily was in pink boots. Well, I find it awfully suspect that there were 2 mysterious single boot prints that showed up and one single boot left in the house under the couch, as if somebody potentially could have been trying to hide or just obscure this boot. But only one was found. Only one pink boot was found. That's a problem for me. And we're also hearing that Malehya was there, and the way Janie described this encounter that she had with Malehya just didn't seem filled with urgency. Another statement she made was that she was sitting on the sawhorse crying. And I found that statement not as necessarily odd. I mean, you would think that anybody in a situation like this that was scared about children would most likely be feeling, a sense of hopeless and helplessness right at that moment, and show emotion because, oh my gosh, the kids are always around. At this point, she's already coming back from one of the ground searches where they would be hanging out if they did go in the woods. And outside of that area where they had that fort set up, which was a cleared out area. It looks, I got to be honest with you, the property itself doesn't look too bad. I mean, from an aerial, shot down over the top of a trailer and a RV that's dilapidated from the outside, it doesn't give you that, wholesome family feeling. And we haven't seen inside the homes. If you notice, nobody went inside the homes, but at least on the outside, the day that they showed up, I mean, like I said, when I was looking at that yard, it was a green yard, the only place that had grass. It was on the day that we have the aerials, the day that law enforcement showed up, May 2nd, we have aerials of that day. And the grounds didn't really look that scattered or debris. And I even pointed out many times in that backyard, the backyard at minimum looks at least cleaned up and is the nicer of the area where they, had. And then you go, because I mean, my grandfather's house, I don't even want to know what it would have looked like from the aerial, but I can tell you the house was clean and we had a lot of fun out there in Mayaca City. So I kind of understood, and I understood the fort area and stuff like that. So it sounded pretty, fun, for interesting, and I don't know, creative, out there in nowhere. What I'm trying to say is, yes, they did have some places that they played that they carved out in kind of this foresty area, but it wasn't forest where they were playing. They were wide, there were more open spaces. And one thing she had indicated is that Jack would have never went out in those forests because even when she had him, he wouldn't go out there. She had to carry him if they went any further. So that gives me some reassurance that I don't believe these children just walked right out there in the forest, which again, I feel like my personal opinion is I feel like Janie was being as truthful as she could. I don't believe she personally, I mean, I don't know. I don't believe she personally had a hand in it, but I feel like she knows her son, and deep inside of her, she knows something isn't right, even though that's not what she's conveying at all. That's just my overall opinion. I believe that she's being partly deceptive and partly truthful. But I don't think that deception is any more than just, saying positive things for her son that she and Malehya that she knows not to be true. And she had to have a sense that day at that property that something didn't feel right. I mean, I'm sorry. There's one thing I can tell you guys, and and until you experience it, you're probably going to say that it's all in my head, and that's okay. You can have your opinion. But one thing that I note, almost as much as being there at the scene gives you a perspective you just don't get from a Google article or a news article or even a video. Being there in person just gives you a whole different perspective of the lay of the land. And I even with Brian Enton, love Brian Enton, but Gabby Petito, when he was trying to express where she was found at Spread Creek, it sounded a lot closer to Gabby's vehicle than it truly was. We had to go over streams. It was a distance away from where they parked the truck, where Brian Laundrie parked the truck. And you didn't get that from the report that Brian Enton even provided. And he's standing right in the middle of it when he was making the report. So there's always this feeling, this gut feeling. I talked about it as soon as I arrived at the Idaho house, 1188 or 1122 King Road. Was it 1122 King Road? Yeah, 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. And one of the things that I knew immediately when I got there is that there is no way that any of the children, any of their friends that we've been talking to could have done this. It was a sense that I got. It was a feeling. It was this, you felt something from that property. That property spoke to you. And I found that ironic because I talk about it. And I'm pretty sure if you guys go back to some of the footage from Idaho, I may even have publicly discussed it. But you have a feeling, much like with Summer Wells, we get a weird vibe at that mountain and we get a weird vibe at that water hole. What does that mean? I don't know. I really don't. But you get this vibe being there. And a lot of the people in the Idaho, the one that was just released on Amazon Prime, they talk about this feeling that they have. And I understand that. I can identify with that because it is more often than not that when you do go to some place where something tragic, majorly tragic happened, believe it or not, you feel a vibe. You feel something. It's weird, and again, it's unexplainable until you understand it, until you have that experience. But you feel something. And so why am I going on this tangent? It's because I feel like the grandmother should have, or the step grandmother should have felt something was off. And I truly believe she knew something was off that morning. The way she talks about that interaction with Malehya did not press upon any type of fear or urgency that Malehya had, just in my opinion. Oh, thank you, Veronica. I appreciate it. God bless you. So that's where I feel like she's being deceptive. And because I have that opinion, because it really is opinion, I don't have anything that's my personal viewpoints that, so because I have that opinion, it's making me feel like she would have felt something was odd and off that morning, but she's acting like she didn't. And I just don't believe that.
This is the patio door
that Jack and Lily would have.
that Jack and Lily came out of.
You'll hear the clicking. So you hear that click? It's that last final push to get it in. And I don't know what it's coming from, but you can hear it. It doesn't, when you close it fully, you hear that at the end. Listening to the bushes. Hey, Lady for Justice. It's nice to see you. So listen to this. Right at the end. And it's just, it's the rubbing. I just looked at it. So it looks like the door at the end rubs on the other portion of the door that it closes around, and it makes that little noise. But would it be something that could be heard at the, all the way down at the other end of a trailer? You have to understand, trailers, they do have very limited insulation. But this right here is not, I'm pretty sure you can hear a lot inside that home. But again, in the back room, that was they have cameras and microphones there. If they were all the way in the back room, would they have been able to hear that clicking at the end of the door shutting if they had, say, their door closed and a TV on? I can't make that determination because I really don't know. It really depends. People that are keen to certain noises, whether the TV was on or not, they might have heard something and said, wait a minute, I think I just heard the door close. They don't know, but they think they heard something that sounds like the door close. Clearly, they're saying something like that did not happen. So we're now kind of left with Daniel's mom. Would Daniel's mom really believe Malehya or Daniel hurt or harm one of these children? And I'd have to think probably not. That's not what any parent would think of their child. It's not the first thing. Think about it. You're looking at your child right now, going to school, making good grades. If you got a knock at the door today and somebody told you that your child was responsible, for a heinous crime, would you truly believe it? My answer is probably not. Probably not. You would need a little more than that. And so I think that that's where we are with Daniel's mother. Now, I had opinions of Daniel's mother. I'm very opinionated, and I talk about my opinions publicly. And I had my opinion about his mother. I can tell you that my opinion about his mother prior to this interview was not favorable. After this interview, I have to say it was a little more favorable. But at the end of the day, there's still something that just doesn't make sense even when I'm looking at her. I'm not sure if it's mental health. She seemed pretty well put together. So I'm starting to feel like that she may also have a substance abuse or alcohol problem. I don't know which it is, but she was clearly not under the influence that I could see when she was giving this interview. But I'm also looking at her home and looking at her overall appearance and just saying, she's not keeping up with some of the things she should be keeping up with. We'll leave it at that. And I don't know why. It's usually mental health attributed, or substance or alcohol abuse attributed. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But, when I saw the interview, she didn't seem like a hot mess express, at least for the cameras. She seemed like she could formulate sentences. She understood what was going on. She didn't appear to be, or observed, at least from my purview, that she was under any on any type of medication or narcotics, or had any, she didn't appear to be intoxicated from alcohol or anything like that. So it's making it very hard for me, which we would know that she's not going to be, all, whatever out when she's got a news crew coming. But I feel like there's still something with this property that's just not being addressed. And I don't know what it is. Could it be the substances? Could it be something else? I don't know.
May 2nd. Take me through what happened.
Okay, I was up at 6 o'clock, sat in there and had my tea. And then
I thought it's a little odd that she gets, and this is another thing. I think it's a little odd that she went to bed the night before. She gets up at 6 a.m. She's playing on her computer, and she's going back to bed 2.5 hours later. Is that, I mean, I'm not her age, she's, we could classify her as kind of retirement age. So she probably has a retirement person's life. So I think the only people that could probably answer that question would be my retirees in the chat. Is that normal? Do you guys typically get up at 6:30, have a cup of coffee, do your thing, and then go take a nap, and then after your nap start your day? Or do you guys take a nap in the afternoon? I mean, how does this whole thing work? I'd like to know.
On Facebook, 7 o'clock. I get up, come over here.
So she tends to her chickens at 7. She's up at 6, tends to the chickens at 7. And I think the reason why she's so specific on the text messages and the phone calls is most likely law enforcement had her be very specific. She most likely had to go back through her phone to get her own timeline in order. And that's probably why those times are resonating with her so clearly. That would be my assumption, or it could be, again, something more.
Chickens. My brother,
hey,
Ron,
Missy,
called me at 8:48 and asked me if I wanted to go to town with him. And I said, no. I said, I'm staying home. I said, I'm going back to bed.
She's staying home. So that was at 8:48. So we went from 6 when she got up to 7 when she was feeding her chicken. And then 8:48 in the morning, her brother calls her to ask her if she wants to go to town, and she declines. So we don't know what she did for the hour and 48 minutes prior to her brother calling.
Okay, I went and I laid down. Next thing you know, my dog started barking. And
next thing she knows, so she's laying down and her dog starts barking. Now, I don't know. I don't think this is the interview that everybody has been passing around either, because some of the statements I heard her make are not in this interview. So it sounds like this might be, she might have done multiple interviews at this point. Maybe she was giving a lay back down because she didn't sleep good during the night since she had been raking. Okay, yeah, that does hurt. That, trust me, I'm doing some yard work myself, and I got to tell you, I'll wake up a little stiff every now and again. Hey, brown eye girls. It's nice to see you. Outer Banks, good morning.
And the kids were out in the yard. Now, you can see there's 2 swings where the kids play. My
question is with these swings, and I didn't stop it then because I just wanted you guys to hear her whole statement without being distracted, is those swings are twisted up. Were those swings typically twisted up? Because if those swings are typically twisted up at night, how did the kids get them down? Because she's saying that they were over at the swings, but I'm looking at 2 swings that are wrapped around and pulled up. Why? They either keep them like that to keep them out of the way so she can get to her chickens, or they don't. And if they do keep them like that in the evening, then why are they rolled up like that? To me, it seems like they're rolled up like that because that's how they keep them when the kids aren't playing with them. But, and I can tell you from everything I can see, those are entirely too far off the ground for a 4 and a 6-year-old to get to them.
Room is right there. I heard the kids. This is where the kids' swings are. This is where they always played.
And so that's where
I heard them. And I can hear everything in that trailer. If 2 kids get out of a fence, and Jack and Lily are all the time.
So you can see the newer fence behind her. That's the newer section of the fence. It looks like they repaired that. Again, makes you wonder why. I mean, a lot of these repairs are going on. We don't know really when these children truly disappeared. Hey, Mike, if the kids aren't in the woods and went missing that morning, only a handful of peeps could get those kids off the property, keeping them quiet. 100% sure biodad is cleared. He has been cleared. Yep, he's been cleared. So we're looking at the people there. So her and both of her sons and Malehya. Obviously, the only other child there left is Meadow, and we know she's entirely too young to be involved in anything. So, again, what gives? Some of this stuff doesn't make sense, but we need to kind of, for all of my content creators out there, we need to have these audios put in one file if it's different from this, so we can get them not not section here with people talking over it. We need one of the content creators that have been dropping those other snippets of her conversations. I believe that was on maybe Susan's on TikTok, whatever her name is, potentially. And they need to put those in like a file on YouTube, so that we can grab, so we can hear it. Because I'd like to compare these interviews to see if there's any changes in her statement, because I feel like there is already a change in the statement that related to the kids, but I don't have anything to really pull up and compare statement for statement with. And I would like to, because she talks about the pipeline in the other one where she picked up Daniel. Those are all relevant information. If we can take that interview and this interview and find out where the differences are and start isolating where the confusions are, maybe we can start honing in on some other avenues that might be pertinent. Because if they're changing certain aspects of their story, there's a reason why. And we can get to the bottom of it. The swings were probably down in May because lawn mowing wasn't going on too much yet. Okay, that makes sense. Like I said, I don't know. We can't assume anything. We're looking at those swings. They're in the up position. She never referenced that they would have been in the down position. We can't assume that they would be because nobody has referenced that. It can go both ways. So I was just curious about that. Maybe we'll learn a little more, or we can go back to that day. We still have the aerials. Let's look at the aerials. Let's see if we can see, now that we know where those swings are, maybe we can pull up. Hold on, guys. Let's do some investigation here. Give me a second. Let's see what we can find. We might be able to find something. Who knows, right? Who knows? So we'll know definitively. There's the images. There's the images. Okay. Okay, here's the ones of the house. So we got this one. Got this one. Okay, let's get all of these. Hold on a second. I want to look at all of these. If anybody knows where footage from aerials were of that day, please email them and put stop signs in the chat and let me know you've emailed them to me. This is for the aerial footage from that day. The aerial footage from that day. Okay, we don't have an angle from that. Hold on here. Let me see something. Okay, I can see. Hold on. Let me see if I can get an angle on this one. Where's the angle? Well, we got that one. I think this is the one. Yeah, they were down. They were down. So I'll pull it up real quick. Hold on. They were down. And then we'll put that back up. All right. Well, that takes that out of the way. But I wanted to show you. I want to make sure you guys can, you guys have the receipts. So you'll know yourself. I want to show you. Okay, so I can clearly see right here. This is where the swings are, and you can see the string going straight down. So at least for all intents and purposes, the day that they disappeared, the swings were in the down position. So it does kind of support Janie's statements of what happened that morning. Not that I'm totally on, because I truly just don't believe she knows what happened. I don't think she was out there, and I don't believe she wants to believe her son could do anything. And that's what I truly believe. So I have to take her statements with a grain of salt. Not that I totally discredit her or anything like that. I don't. Like I said, I think that there are some statements. It's when she, we'll get to it. I'll show you why I think that she knows more.
Jackie, let's go,
sorry,
Jackie.
let me go back.
It's all I hear out here.
Okay, let's go back.
And the kids get out of the fence and come out.
Okay, let's go
especially back. Lily. Come on, Jackie. Come on, Jackie.
Right.
Let's go, Jackie. Let's go, Jackie.
Let's go
Jack
back.
and Lily are all the time yelling.
There it is.
Especially Lily. Come on, Jackie. Come on, Jackie. Let's go, Jackie. Let's go, Jackie. It's all I hear out here. And the kids get out of the fence and come out through here.
Good morning, Stacy.
I would have heard them yelling, "Come on, Jackie. Let's go, Jackie."
Sorry, my let me just see if I can try to rig my audio. It just dropped again. My my doohickey. I can't wait until we're done with this stupid crap. Okay, it just came back up. Let me see if I can get it to clear. It's not going to clear, but it is what it is. I'm so sick of the instability here, and they just can't get it right. StreamYard will never be able to get it right. I just truly believe.
Hey, let's go. I didn't hear anything. The next thing I heard is I heard Daniel yelling. He was yelling for Jack and Lily. I didn't get up because I thought he was yelling for Jack and Lily in the house. So the next thing you know, I came out of the trailer after I heard Daniel, about, I'd say, 10 minutes after I heard him, I come out of the trailer. I opened up the door.
And that doesn't make sense, too, because if she heard Daniel and it was about 10 minutes later, then the kids would have been missing for 10 minutes.
Was standing here. Malehya was standing
Me and you both, Mike.
Right here. With Meadow on her hip. And I come out and I said, what's up? She said, Jack and...
Right where the one single boot print is, Malehya was standing with a child in her hand? How do we know she didn't put a boot on Meadow and tap her foot down before Janie walked out? I mean, you know, really. Well, you might be late, Panda Bear's mom, but I hear you're the recipient of the keychain. Congratulations.
Lily are missing. I said, how long? She said, about 20 minutes. I closed the door, got my boots on, came out here, ran up in the woods. Just right up here.
Because she knew exactly where the kids would have gone if they left that property. So she goes to the one place that those children would have gone to, right? She gets her boots on. She knows they have a fort right up the hill. She went over to the fort to check it out, and nothing. I'm pretty sure she was calling them and everything, and nothing.
The kids have a little fort that they made out of sticks and fir branches, and that's where they go. You can see them and hear them. We went for walks in the woods. I had to practically carry Jack through the woods because there was no way that he was walking through all that.
So we now know that Jack would not go back there. Just like Summerwell's dad, yeah. She probably didn't come out because D and M thought she wasn't there. She was supposed to go to her boyfriend's night before. Oh. Interesting. Interesting. The plot thickens.
Tree falls and bushes. I did this whole area.
Me too, me and you.
There's an old road up back. When I got up to the top of the hill, I met Daniel. And I said to him, I said, did you find them? He said, no. He said, you coming with me? I said, no. I said, I'm going to search this area. Because when she told...
So, and Daniel was the one that kept wanting people to go with him. Now, mind you, Daniel was also the one that, related to this pink blanket, decided to take a recorder, record himself walking to the trash can, brought a witness with him, and then hearing him trying to get his mother to come with him. I don't know. I'd still be in tears if neighbors' kids that went missing in my property or near. I know. She was emotional that morning, apparently. But again, it gives me pause of why this lady would be emotional, but Daniel and Malehya are not.
Told me the kids were missing, you automatically think they went into the woods. That was my first instinct. So I went up and I did this whole area, this whole wooded area, right up to the top of the dirt road, came back down here and came back down the side of the road, came back down here and came back up the same spot. I went back into the house. By the time the cops were here, I don't know exactly what time, I didn't take my phone. The cops were here.
See, some of those things I do believe are legit. You know, I do believe that she did those walks. And I believe she wasn't paying attention to when law enforcement showed up. I believe that.
There was a bench sitting here, or a sawhorse, it's over there, was sitting here. I was sitting on it, bawling my eyes out.
And I believe she was. But again, I believe she started realizing that maybe something more. She's not telling us that. But I think the reason why she was sitting there crying is because she knew something bad happened. There was nobody else there, folks. Just them. So if anything bad happened, and now we got a mom and a stepfather pointing the finger at each other, they were each other's alibi. If they were truly together, neither one of them would be pointing the finger at the other one. But yet here we are.
I was crying because I blame myself for not getting up that morning to see the kids, because if I were to get up, this wouldn't have never happened.
Why would this have never happened if she got up? That statement right there should tell you everything. It should tell you everything. Why her? Maybe because the mom and stepdad are incapable. Maybe she knew they were doing wrong around those children. Maybe she's in a position where she doesn't have much to say about it. But she knows if she was up, this wouldn't have happened. I believe she's crying for fear she's going to lose her son too. I think both sides of the family are put in a very, very terrible position, and I hope people are not blaming them. We don't know if this lady has any culpability. She may have just walked into a shit show, walked out of her door and slapped into a shit show. You know, not one that she asked for, or one that, but here she is, and it's with her son. So.
Okay? That's why I was crying.
We've heard a lot about the patio door.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go see that.
Sure.
So this is the patio door.
This is the patio door.
That Jack and Lily would have.
That Jack and Lily came out of.
So you can see the back. You can see the back end of that rubbing against the other door. So it does make a noise. And to me, it may even vibrate a little bit when it closes. So you have, if you're nearby, you have the sound as well as the feel, in my opinion. Now, again, that's all subjective.
Why we've heard about the patio door?
Because everybody's saying on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok that the patio door makes a noise.
And it does. In all fairness, the door does make a noise. It's not a rickety, squeaky, it takes, two muscle guys to get it shut. But there's no sliding glass door that goes without a noise. Noises are attributed to slide. Even the most well-oiled door, you hear glide. It's not noiseless. A front door is not noiseless. You still hear it open and close very lightly if it's installed properly, but it does have a decibel sound to it.
And why they didn't hear the door open. The bedroom is back there. Okay?
That far window.
The last window is the.
See, and this is another thing that makes me concerned, because she is really trying to. I don't feel that you have to argue your point if the information is true, but she seems to be really wanting to hone in on, they're that far away. I'm still not convinced 100% that they heard nothing related to that door opening. But again, I can't say it with absolute 100% fact, because again, we have a lot of variables. That looks like a rickety, normal single wide trailer. Okay. I know personally from my experience of working on trailers. Yes, I've worked on trailers. My father was a master electrician. I did a lot of electrical works. We've had to turn off a lot of people's electric because their trailers caught on fire. They're not the safest things. They have a lot of electrical issues. But one thing I can tell you by doing work in them, it's tin in a very, very thin piece of fiberglass insulation in between very thin walls. Those walls are not 2x4 walls. Okay. You've got little strips in there. Like their walls are maybe, I don't know, an inch at the most thick from the outside to the inside. They're not very big. The walls are big enough to hold that sliding glass door there. But the actual walls, they're not that thick. They're thin. Now, if they've pulled all the paneling off the inside of their trailer and put studs in there and put insulation in and drywall, then you've got a different scenario than just a normal trailer, don't you? You have something that has a little more sound absorbency to it, and the possibility of them hearing would be absolutely not. But in this case, I can't tell you. I can't tell you whether they could hear it or not, but there is sound that is we heard on that sliding glass door. It's not quiet. Okay? It's not completely quiet as we were led to believe.
It's the bedroom.
And so they would have come out this door.
They would have come out this
that
door.
morning.
Yes.
And then they went and played on the swing set.
Yes.
And that's when you heard them.
That's when I heard them. Right here in this area here. I plan on putting a pool up this year for the kids. You need level ground for a pool.
So to clarify, the same area that they were packing down and leveling out the day before is still the same exact area that Malehya was standing when Janie heard that the children were missing. And it's still the exact same spot that had a single lone boot print. Interesting.
That's what I was doing. I was leveling out the ground to set up a pool.
And this is the Thursday.
This is Thursday.
Right.
Friday, all the investigators, search and rescue and everything. Right around here was where they found the only footprint.
See?
This is where the boot.
This is where I was raking that night.
So she was raking and leveling the day before. Malehya was standing in the spot, and a boot print magically appears.
That's where the boot print was found, in the mud where I was raking.
I truly believe she believes that. You know, I still believe she knows more. I believe she has that gut instinct that all mothers have about their children, whether they acknowledge it or not. Because she's fighting. She's fighting hard. You don't need to fight this hard.
I thought there was two boot prints.
There was supposed to be a footprint found away up on the pipeline.
The same place that we just heard on Justin for Hall, where they picked him up from. Monday. When the kids were reported missing. The second. Her and her other son, boot print is staged. I think both of them are. I think the pink blanket is too.
Malehya sent me the
And I truly believe she knows that her son left that house.
Picture of it. That's all I know. There was a footprint found.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, the footprint was here. The only one.
Right where Malehya and Meadow were standing when she came out of the house. Interesting.
They can confirm that was Lilly and Jack's was right here.
So it was child size.
Yes. A man, one of the investigators came in here and was measuring it all. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to lie.
Now that right there is the reason why I believe she's being deceptive. In addition to some of the other things that I saw, that is the reason I believe she's not being truthful. I think she's being truthful about a lot, but I think that there's some stuff that she knows, she's overheard, she's gotten the vibe. I think she has an understanding that her son may be involved. You can see the pain in her face when she talks about when the interviewee asks her, you know, do you think your son's involved? And you can see her eyes well up. I mean, the idea of her son being involved terrifies her. You know, it scares her. As it would any parent. Most of you guys are parents. Most of you are step parents. It's some type of parent. And I'd have to think, you know, the possibility of that kind of news would terrify any parent. Because let's face it, even if your children are rotten, even if your children are addicted, you still love your children. That love never changes, okay? You know, so she loves her son. Do I think she had anything to do with these? Of course not. I don't think this lady has any direct involvement in the disappearance. I don't think she was carrying the body, okay? But I do feel she's withholding information that would help put her son and or Malehya behind bars. I think that she just I think she has an idea, and they know those woods better than anybody. They've said that in another statement. Daniel's well versed in those woods. And that brings me back to what my epiphany was last night when we were all on Justin For All's channel. And that epiphany for me was I have to strip things down. Sometimes I think we complicate things. And I think that's what happens in law enforcement too. So every now and then when I feel this feeling that I'm overcomplicating stuff, I strip everything away. Okay? What do I mean by strip everything away? Okay, let's look at the basics. What do we know? Right? We don't know where the children are, and we don't know what happened to them. So let's stay away from that for right now. Okay? But what do we know? We know that the children were reported missing around 10 a.m. We know that, right? Because there's records of that with law enforcement. That's when law enforcement got involved. We know that Daniel was up moving around that day, despite everybody trying to point the finger at Malehya and say, even myself, and say that, somebody called the school and reported those kids sick at 6:18. So there's rumors going around that says that Malehya was outside the front door. We didn't hear any of that from Daniel's mother. And this would have been the opportunity that she should have and could have said it. Okay? She didn't. So we have no proof. Strip everything down. Let's simplify the crap out of this case. What do we know? We know that the only person moving around that day on equipment, either, ATV, bike, or otherwise, was who? Daniel Martell. We have zero information other than Malehya being outside of Janie's trailer, of Malehya ever leaving that property. We have no evidence. We have nothing to support. Let's strip all the away. And what do we have? The only one of the two of them that was moving, not just about on that property, but everywhere else around the area, was Daniel. He was the one moving about. He was the one on the ATVs. He was the one seen at the pipeline. He was the one seen out there. He was the one that was following the searches around under the guise that he's also searching. It was never Malehya. It was Daniel that was moving about, that we have information that he was moving about, that he was searching. We may have our opinions of Malehya, but even according to his own mother's statement, whose voice was the first voice she ever heard that morning? She heard the children's, and then whose? Daniel's, not Malehya. Not Malehya. Do I believe Janie when she says that she physically heard the children outside that morning? I don't know. I don't know if I believe her. A piece of me is telling me that that's bullshit. I don't know why I feel like that's bullshit, but that's the part I'd like to hone in on when it comes to Janie. Did she truly hear the kid's voice that morning? That's huge. Because one of my theories is something happened to them late at night or in the early morning hours. So I would like to find out conclusively whether those children were truly alive that morning after 6 a.m. I don't trust that she doesn't believe these children are deceased. She's like, you get that gut feeling. You get that gut feeling when you're biologically related. This lady is not biologically related to these children. I don't believe that. I believe that's what she needs to tell herself, which also supports my opinion that she knows more and just not coming forth with it because it's assumptive. She doesn't know, right? And so she's never going to say that she thinks her son or Malehya could have done anything to these children because she doesn't know, right? She's a mom and this is her son. So unless she knows, she's not going to believe. We have to remember that. And right now, there's nothing for her to know. You get it? So I believe she's covering. I believe that nobody really knows. And that's why we have Team Malehya and Team Daniel that is forming between these families. Okay? But no matter how you look at it, the teams are forming with these families. Okay? And that's not a good sign. So now we have Team Malehya and Team Daniel, and that is not a good sign because while we have Team Malehya and Team Daniel, we have no Team Lilly and Jack because they're too busy defending the mom and the stepdad. And that's what we've been seeing. Everybody's trying to defend the mom and or the stepdad. They're not advocating for the children. There's self-serving purposes for every one of these interviews, and that tells me there's more going on here. Some of the reasons that help me support that there's more going on here. Now, this pink blanket is clearly a significant piece of evidence, and I think it's a significant piece of evidence because it's either going to support that somebody very close to that resident was trying to, plant evidence, or it could support that blanket was used in the commission of their death. I think one of the two are going to be true. I don't know which because we just don't have a lot of information. This is another situation where I can say I respect law enforcement in Canada. That they're using the same approach that we've seen before in Moscow, Idaho. Now, granted, Moscow, Idaho gave us updates every single day, just about the tips and the leads and stuff like that. We're not really getting that from the RCMP, but they are filling us with that type of analytical information. How many videos they have to go through, how many leads they've got, how many detectives are working. Believe it or not, that is for social media and stuff like that, because I know there's a lot of heat. Law enforcement doesn't necessarily it's a double-edged sword. They like us when we're useful. They don't like us when we bring too much of the wrong attention to a case or whatever. It happens. Law enforcement doesn't like media by definition because they're there to investigate the case in cover and in secret to build a case. And, media's there trying to expose the case that they're trying to cover. You see what I'm saying? So there's a love-hate relationship with media and law enforcement in these cases, and now a love-hate relationship between law enforcement and mainstream media because or social media rather, because as mainstream media starts being more controlled by authority, we here on mainstream media have now picked up the torch to go for free speech and a freedom of press, which gives us a right to not have to co-sign the bullshit, the bull that our government tells us, right? So we're kind of the new face of news. And I know people, they cringe at that, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, we actually care for these cases. We're not going to ever replace mainstream media, nor do I want to. Okay? I do not want to be classified as mainstream media. I like social media. I like being a content creator, and I like bringing the truth. Canada, I feel like their media is really good. So far, I've got to say, out of the interviews that we've seen from their reporters, they ask the right questions that our U.S. mainstream media refuse to ask in a situation like this because they have no backbone or balls, and America's tired of it. So they hit the tough questions. They asked the tough questions. They even asked Daniel, people think you guys, killed your kid. What are you going to say to the public about that? You know what I'm saying? They asked the question. They didn't put their tail between their legs. I have respect, okay? Mainstream media, American mainstream media, might want to take some notes. Just saying. This is the kind of stuff that we like. We like the hard-hitting questions. We don't like the we want to be your friend crap, okay? I don't want to be anybody's friend. I love the people that love me for being me, but at the end of the day, I've got a job to do. I'm not your friend, okay? If I'm interviewing you and you're in a hot seat, I am not your friend. I'm going to be friendly, but understand I am not your friend. I have no problem telling people that I'm transparent. I'm here for the truth. If I think you're lying, I'm going to question you on it. I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend. These people aren't their friend either. They want the truth. I like that.
The reason why I wanted you guys to come here and do the interview here is to show you exactly where everything took place.
Mm-hmm. I believe that. Like I said, there's some things that I believe, but I believe she's holding back. I believe she knows more, and I believe she's trying to convince people. That's my overall impression of this. She's trying to convince people. And that's always, when you have to try to convince people, it never sits right with me. Because I feel like the truth should speak for itself. You know? The truth should speak for itself. If you've got the truth on your side, there's no convincing that needs to be had. If you're telling the truth, does it mean that people are still not going to be? No. But people that know the truth and just get fed up, screw it. They're going to say whatever the hell they're going to say. This is what happened, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know? I don't got time for it. Right? That's what we expect from people with truthfulness. People that are like, oh shit, they're not believing our story. Let's go convince them. You see? That's how I feel like every time we get these self-serving stories and convincing language. But I want the caveat because I think it's important for me to express, do I think this lady Janie has, you know what her problem is? In my opinion, is she believes her son. And whatever story she's going to say is going to be self-serving to convince or prove or attempt to prove that her son is not involved. Not advocating for the kids that are missing or trying to locate the kids that are missing or try to set up, searches for the kids that are missing. It's self-serving in my opinion. So hopefully somebody that does, I'm not an expert. Many of you know, all I am is got a certified bullshit detector. That's it. I didn't go through training. Well, I did kind of go through training. I was out there in them streets for a while, you learn a lot. I have had a lot of experiences in my life, some good, some not so good. And, I have a way of looking at certain things, analyzing them, and coming up with theories that are plausible. And we have a great batting average on this channel because we do the work, we do the legwork. And I have a great support from all of you to be able to continue to do that legwork. But it's all too often we have these cases and we try our best to analyze them and try to find out who to believe and who not to believe. And sometimes it's harder than not. I have been bouncing back and forth with Daniel since the beginning of this case. He was getting I was very public. I was very transparent with you guys on why I felt that way. Every time he came up and was fighting for the kids, we've got check boxes in the right directions of what we want to see a parent and or a step parent do. But I kept telling you guys, I know he's hitting all these boxes, but there's just something that's not sitting right with me. I'm not trusting this. I don't know why, but I'm not co-signing it. And I didn't. and we still haven't. And I've been bouncing back and forth between Daniel and Malehya. And it's been, several epiphanies that have happened to me going through this and processing this, as analyzing this, closing my eyes and just really trying to strip all the crap away and just really get to the nuts and bolts of what we need to look at. And at the end of the day, the reason why, the way I can figure it out to myself as to why I feel like Malehya and Daniel are both responsible is because several key reasons. One, the mother immediately left. That is so out of character for any mother that I don't know. It made me pay attention. There was something not right. That was the first indication. Let me let the computer catch up. We got a little frozen. Okay, I think I'm coming back. Nope, I'm not coming back. I might need a refresh, guys. Hold on a second. Hold on, it's catching up. So I don't know what happened, but my computer and my Google just went on the fritz inside the house. I literally don't know what happened, but this is why I literally hate Apple products. I will be as soon as I have an opportunity. Right now we got freaking attorneys to still pay for, appeal to still pay for, and Tony to repay back. And then maybe sometime next year we'll be able to replace our equipment. I hate Apple products. I will never co-sign Apple products ever, ever, ever. If you're on Apple, you're being duped. Yeah, do they have a great phone? Yes, they do. But in order for you to own that phone, you have to own every other product that they make, because your phone is no longer compatible with anything else. And I mean that. I hate Apple products. I hate just about everything. Anything that doesn't work the way it's supposed to do, I don't like it. It drives me nuts. Okay, so now that I'm rebooting my entire computer, maybe that's I'm going to wait until the computer is back up, because it's just frustrating for me. Like, it just started fritzing. I don't know what the hell happened. It literally just started blinking, like behind the screen, just going duh, 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 duh. Like, I'm like, what the you know what I said. Never seen it do that before. Might need to raise money for a new computer as is, because I'm telling you right now, if it shit does that again, I'm breaking this damn computer. I'm done. I hate Apple. It's been the most expensive, absolutely the most expensive, poor decision I've ever made. Everything about the viruses. Listen, I would rather go through 5 computers than deal with Apple product. Just to let you know. 5. Okay, let's open this. All right, we're getting there, guys. History. Okay. And one more. Let's see if StreamYard can handle this. If StreamYard and Google can handle this, because I absolutely 100% believe that it's because of StreamYard, because StreamYard just can't seem to figure out how to blessed work on Chrome. I hate StreamYard. I hate today. We're back up. I'll see you in just a minute. Okay, maybe we're back. Good gracious. What a trip we just had. I can't wait until I'm done with StreamYard. We're almost there. We've got another 12 days. We have another 12 days, y'all. Can you guys hear me? I can't hear myself for some reason. Is my stuff working? I hate StreamYard. I hate StreamYard. I hate StreamYard. I really believe it was StreamYard that just did that. Because they don't know how to work together. StreamYard sucks. And I can't say it any more than that. StreamYard sucks. Anybody that's on StreamYard and running through StreamYard, if you're on Apple product, you're wasting your money. They don't know how to configure. They have no decent engineers that can get an Apple computer and Chrome to work. You know why? Because Apple products suck. They're not designed to be compatible with shit. That's why. It's a waste of money. Unless you got the money. Now, if you got $30,000, you should be pretty freaking happy with Apple. Unless you leave your Apple product at home or broke and you need to sign in from a window, then guess what? Your Apple stuff, all that Apple stuff you have, is worthless. Is worthless. You can't get to it from a Chrome extension. You can't get it to from any other product but an Apple product. Your iCloud, you can't access that from a Windows computer. Whether I'm on my Apple product or not, I can access every single one of my Android and, the Android products and Windows products. I can literally find that on any product I use, whether it's Apple or Android. But with Apple, you can spend $1,000 a month. And you know what? You still, in your time of need, when you need to use somebody else's computer, will still never be able to access a damn thing with all that money you spend because you bought Apple. That, to me, is bullcrap. Okay? Apple sucks. Get wiser and smarter. Do you know that 90% of your apps that you pay for every single month, you could get free with an Android? Every single month that you're doling out those subscription fees. And just to think, you could have a Samsung, better quality phone too. And you'd be able to do away with 90% of your subscriptions. People are foolish. The young people today can be conned into literally anything. All right, so now that we're back up and running, I'm exhausted. But at the end of the day, I do believe Janie is being partly truthful and partly deceptive. But hopefully somebody will get this interview, be able to analyze it and give, a little support to that, or either let me know whether my assessment is holding water or not holding water, right? I think she knows more. I think at this point, she probably knows her son's involved in something, maybe not, doesn't know what. And again, a parent, unless they know, ain't going to acknowledge crap. So is this surprising for me? It is not. But do I think she's hands-on responsible in any way whatsoever? Do I believe she was carrying a body? No, I do not. I believe her fault is believing two people that are drug addicts. I think Malehya and Daniel are drug addicts. So I think that's really the only thing that lady's guilty of, but I don't know. We might get a report from one of our language experts, either body or verbal language experts, right? And they may say, oh boy, I'd be really concerned over grandma. You never know. I don't want to make light of it, but in all reality, I may be off base. It may be a lot worse than I think. It might be a lot worse than I think. And it might be a lot better than I think. You know, they may say, no, she looks like she's being truthful. You know, who knows? Who knows? We'll find out soon. We'll find out soon. All right, guys, I will see you back here later this afternoon to go over Sebastian Rogers' case. We're still going over the green shirt interview. We will be comparing it with the first interview. We're already seeing a lot of red flags, which we saw at the beginning, but we're also paying attention to a lot of things that we didn't once pay attention to, including the behavior of the reporter, Holly Thompson. We found something pretty interesting related to, I guess, a statement she made. There was something that she stated. I can't remember what it was, but there was something that she stated, and she stated it in such a way, oh yeah, that we're only talking about Sebastian. So it was like that in order for her to get this interview, her and Chris must have butted heads a lot, and he wanted to say, I'll only let you in if we're just talking about Sebastian. I ain't talking about any of this freaking drama, blah, blah, blah. But she addressed that in that, and I'm like, she addressed that for a reason. And as many times as we've all seen that green shirt interview, we miss that each and every time. So I thought that was interesting. Like I said, you know, his eyes, Bill John. I don't want to get into all that. I just want one of those things that I can plug my equipment in and just roll with it. You know, I mean, if you're offering to help me hook up the studio, I will take anybody on the offer. I'll buy whatever equipment. I just need it to work. I need it to work right. Okay, I just need it to work right. That's all I want is the studio to work right. Just doesn't work right. I got like freaking thousands of dollars worth of equipment here. You should see this desk. I should take a picture of it. Let me take a picture. Where's my phone? Take a picture of it. I mean, you guys should see this. Thousands of dollars. Freaking computer. Well, the computer is the most expensive. But let me take a picture of this. I'll show you guys on that thing. Ouch. It looks messy because I got wires everywhere. There's the office. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's kind of, it's not letting me do it. Let me take this off. Hold on. Maybe it will if I take the... There. I mean, there's a lot of equipment here. It's not like... You know, and that's just this. I mean, I'd like an independent camera setup. I've already got... You know, I've already priced out my independent cameras that I'd like to go ahead and like literally have coming out of the freaking ceiling and stationary, you know, that has a 360. So I have a little thing that goes, you know, like I want to simplify the process. There is a lot of crap on my desk, way too many cords than need to really be here. Never mind the gajillion buttons. And Betty, and she knows. I bring a whole, I don't like flying because it costs me so much blessed money. I either have to leave my equipment at home or I'm paying $200. I'm paying more than my ticket just to fly my equipment. You know, it's heavy. The stuff I've got is not cheap either. I mean, it's not cheap and it weighs a ton. That's another thing. Have you guys noticed the Apple computer? The MacBook Pro? Jeez Louise, can we use some plastic in this thing? Does it have to be sealed with cement? Do they think that we're just muscle people here? That we just love, I mean, I have been working on, you guys haven't noticed, I've been working on my arms. You guys haven't even realized I've been working on them arms, right? And you know how I've been working on them arms? I've been rotating, you know, because Delilah likes to play with those little toys, but she loves to, you know, me to yank them. So she's biting on the little squeaky toy. I'm yanking it. So, you know, I'm playing with her. So I'm going this way and then I'm changing the arms and going this way. I'm like, man, this is some good workout. Because, you know, you have those little shakers, you know, those little shaker thingies, right? You guys put them up. Remember, those were the really big back in the late 90s, early 2000s. You guys know which ones I'm talking about. You probably own a set. They're probably getting a lot of dust. They're probably crusty in your garage right now. Okay? Well, that's basically what I'm doing with those. We're gonna need a new raccoon. You guys remember those little flat raccoons? You should see it. The poor thing. But you know what? I gotta tell you, look at that. Look at that. You can see that. You can see the muscles. Woo! Betty getting ripped. What? Thank you, Delilah. Thank you. See, for years I only had the 2-pounders, right? Delilah's a whole 6 pounds. Delilah's a whole 6 pounds. I'm really getting my workout. Last night I was working out and I'm like, I'm really gonna have to change hands. I'm like, man, Delilah, you giving me a workout. She's steady going. Okay, well, keep going. We'll keep going. Mama's arms could use it. Mama's arms could use it. Now, if we could just get her a bigger one, so we can have like the rowing effect, right? So it's so big that she like pulls me this way. Then we can start working on the abs, right? We'll just start going in. It's like, you know, the rolling experience, except that we're playing with the toys. My puppy is 17 pounds. Well, you should be ripped. You should have a 12-pack, not a 6-pack. I meant that literally, not figuratively. No, I'm just joking. Over here on the Bullhorn Betty channel, except unless it's coffee, unless it's caffeinated. Oh, good gracious. So that's where we're at, guys. I'm interested in your thoughts. You know, how do you think the whole situation with his mom is? You know, you don't have to say it now. You guys could send me an email. Let me know your theories and your speculations. You guys got to watch his mom. I feel bad. You know, I feel bad for her. I look at all these people on both, and I just feel bad for them. You know, because I try to understand. I think that's, you know, I try to understand what they could be going through. And it's like, you know, I look at these people and they all look like great people, you know. I mean, to be honest with you, I know that some people have brought up Haley's voice about how I'm not annoyed by her voice. She says and a lot. There's some things, you know, they just have a different, you know, they have kind of an accent. A little smidgen of an accent. And so some people, but in all fairness, it seems like she's a nice person. She didn't ask for any of this. Cheryl, you know, I don't know anything about her, but you know, maybe she was just trying to be a friend and get her friend out, you know. Would my best friend do the same thing for me? I don't know. I'm not in this situation, right? I mean, in all fairness, I don't know. I'm not in this situation. I don't know how I would react in a situation. We can all say what we would do. Oh, if I was in this situation, I'd do this, and this. We're everybody's problem solver when it's not our problem, right? It's so easy. It's so easy to solve somebody else's problem. But when the rubber meets the road, in all fairness, you have no earthly idea how you are going to react because you don't know if shock's going to set in. Shock, anybody that's ever had shock before, it is a blank screen, okay? Your brain is a blank screen. You think it doesn't matter, the most educated person in America, if it's in shock, it's a blank screen, okay? They're not going to be able to move, think, or anything. I've had an experience with shock before. And I can tell you, I was a blank screen. I was holding a phone in my hand. I knew I needed to call the vet, and I couldn't even figure out who I needed to call. Make that make sense. That there is shock. Okay? That there is shock. So I feel like they are being put in this, and I feel like, you know, too many people jump on and start attacking. I think maybe more open questions, open-ended questions, instead of accusations on these ancillary people. You know, we know, like, mom and stepdad, you know, if you want to say something to them, I'm not going to have a qualm. They're missing children. Do I think that's the best strategy? Probably not. But for each and every person, do what you wish to do. But it's the other family. None of us have a choice who the hell we're related to, folks, okay? Quit immediately thinking because this person did something that you have a right to treat this person like crap. No, you do not. Because many of these people, these ancillary people, are just as much of a victim of the story as the victims are. Because they are being brutalized by the public for no other reason than assumption. That's pretty weak. We don't do that, okay? So do we know whether Daniel's mom knows more? No, we don't. Do we have a feeling? Yes, we do. Is that enough to go and accuse this lady or be nasty to this lady? No, it's not. There's another critical statement she made. And she says she holds her head down when she goes out anymore. She doesn't want anybody knowing who she is. That's shame. That's shame. Why would anybody be ashamed or shamed? It's because they have a guilty conscience, which tells me she has a guilty conscience, which tells me, in my opinion, she knows more. So that's how I kind of got to where I believe that, mostly true. I do believe her, and I believe that her heart is breaking, and I believe she cared for the kids. Okay? I think my analysis is fair and spot on. But again, it's just an analysis, and we're never going to know if it's spot on until more information becomes available. But I truly believe that's kind of where we are when it comes to Janie. Now, we have to still go back to Malehya and Daniel. And again, Daniel is the only one that we can, if somebody can show me different and bring me receipts, legitimate receipts, then the only person that was moving about that morning was Daniel Martell. If I am incorrect, my email for those receipts to review, not your emotions, not your words, receipts. I've got receipts that say Daniel was the one out there in those woods looking for those children before law enforcement got there. I've got that on record. I have not heard anybody on the record. I've heard rumors about Malehya leaving. I've heard rumors about her being on the outside of the house. But I have not received the receipts that I've received on Daniel Martell. So, did Malehya leave the property between the 1st and the 2nd after they returned home from New Glasgow on the afternoon of the 1st? Did Malehya ever leave that property? We don't know. But what we do know is Daniel did. Daniel did. So now that with that little tidbit of information, I'm interested in hearing my audience perspective. You guys know the email address for the new people coming to my show, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Bullhorn, Betty, Betty, @gmail.com. Let me know your perspective. You never know. I might read your stuff. I keep your name confidential unless you give me permission to use your name. But you never know. I may bring your perspective to the show. Do you have a perspective about this case? Email bullhornbetty@gmail.com. Bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I'm praying to God that the deception detective reviews Janie's statements. I'd like to know whether she's being truthful or if he thinks she's being deceptive. And if he does think she's being deceptive, if he can kind of hone in on the area of where she's deceptive, that would be amazing. So keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we'll see something. Maybe we won't. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And we'll see you later this afternoon. God bless. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news.
I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.